and it's a very unusual viola.
This is worth visually. I shouldn't visually.
Flip it around.
This back is like one of the most amazing. I think, yeah, he's so. I mean, just that's so bold. I mean, I really love it.
And I'm told that this is California oak, the back oak, and the scroll, and the sides, but you'll be amazed. It sounds.
And then the double purfling's a nice touch too.
So it's a Magini copy.
I don't know how it sounded out there to you, but there's a very interesting ringing complexity on the G especially. Did that go out? Did you hear that? I love that. There's something about the Brescian makers. There's something that wood should be sort of the teeth, a little bit of teeth, a little bit of grit in the sound. I think for violas, when anybody that's looking at violas really should be considering their tonal obligations, whether you're sitting in a section of an orchestra, if you're playing a lot of chamber music, if you're playing solo. For solo playing, I think often it's very, very important that you have focus. You don't, a lot of, we're attracted to the viola because we want to have that air, the sort of the aura of sound. But oftentimes, in your big hall, you need to project, and focused sound often projects much more than sort of omnidirectional fuzzy stuff, which fuzzy stuff feels good under the ear, but it tends to just it can just sort of diffuse. So I would say for all the young violists in the room, when you're getting ready for auditions, you're buying up for your new violas, be very careful that you're not just tempted to sound that sounds good here. Bring your teachers and bring a lot of people to stand in the back, because that's really where you'll find a lot of the magic, because it's very deceptive. This is the amplifying box. This is where all the magic's happening, but we also need to have your ears out. You always get second opinions, especially with violas, because I've had that's been but I think this fiddle, how did it sound in the back, Alan? Could you hear? I think this actually has both the focus and the fuzz, which is my perfect combination. New bow. Under my ear, I think this is a very focused, very penetrating sound, which I think is very nice. I think they're using Larsen A vision regulars on the middle strings and a Spiracore See, I would also say that the strings make a humongous difference. Sometimes I use spiral chords for many years. Spiral chords are very, very stable steel strings, but some instruments you have to be careful because sometimes they have a tendency to mash. They're steel, so it really clamps down the sound. And some instruments really like to have that pressure. They react well under pressure, and whereas some instruments get choked. So I think this instrument could actually take it. I would actually be interested if I had more time to put on maybe some pies. There's the new Peter Infeld. They're basically like fancy dominants, and if they're worth the cost, because I think they have a lot of zing, but they don't put so much pressure on the instrument. I don't know if you could visually tell, but this is by far, I think, the smallest viola in the lot.
15 3/4.
Yeah. So I think he did a very good job. As I didn't mean to set myself up for difficulties later, but he did a very good job managing dipping under the 41 centimeter, what you call it, golden number in my estimate. Not just my opinion, but a lot of people's. Guadagnini made small violas. Several people. Gaspar actually made a very like 15 and a half, and he compensated. I think the way to compensate, I think, is for body volume. Is you can make the ribs really thick. You could do a whole bunch of stuff. You could do about things, and it's a nice fiddle. I find it very interesting that they made the F so narrow. Maybe that's to keep the plates a little bit more tight so it rings, but it's a nice fiddle. that.
Oh yeah, that's
His work is very beautiful. It's a one piece, I guess it's one piece. And the top is also very nice. I find Okkyum's work is very pretty. It's a very nice sound. This really looks like to me, this is like a quintessential Brothers Amati sort of pattern. It's called the Stauffer Brothers Amati. I would ask all of the non-people, the people that don't know that fiddle, to take a look at that fiddle, because I swear the contralto shape viola, I would say like that it affected all of the non-Brescian makers. People really looked to that fiddle and copied it quite extensively. But the Brothers Amati pattern really changed the way violas are made. I mean, you obviously hear probably the tonal differences between the Brescian-inspired instruments and the non-Brescians, right? The Brescian ones we're talking about, like that sort of the gritty sound, where I would say the Cremonese, maybe the Venetians, it tends to be a little bit of a cleaner sound. I don't mean it's not a judgment thing, but it's a little less. There's a little less grit in the sound. But this is a very beautifully pristine sounding instrument.
And take a look at the back of it.
I tell you, there's no lack of great craftsmanship in this field. It's really. And I also have to just add, I think viola, if I might be so bold, is a little bit different than violin and cello. You know, Stradivarius did not make the best sounding violas, I'm sorry to say. You know, he didn't make that many, and I don't think they're the best sounding, at least the ones I've tried. And I think it's really, with the viola, you can really be quite lucky, because you can find an instrument that might not be like $12 million, and it sounds like 20. You know, so it's like, I really think we're very lucky as violists, because a lot of times modern instruments just sound better. I think our art form has really come a long ways. And a lot of the old violas, you know, like there's just disproportionately so few, which makes the cost of anything that's old and anything that's desirable just astronomical. So I would say we're in good hands. We're in good hands with the modern makers. Beautiful sounding instrument. We have several Andre Guarneri. I think it might be Andre Guarneri. We have another, couple of makers here that had another Andre Guarneri. That's a very good pattern. I think it is. Yeah, it's a Guarneri. It's very nice. It's has a nice blend of mellow, but not weak. I think sometimes you get mellow and not. I think it has a nice focus to it.